perhaps the only benefit of being home, but I'm not actually home because I'm about 40 minutes to an hour outside of Wilmington. So to me, that's not like really being home. But thrilled to be back in North Carolina, and really traveling is really difficult right now. So there's something to be said about being a tourist in your own state or your own community. So the good thing about my being not in Wilmington proper, but actually outside of Wilmington, is it now puts me geographically in a different part of North Carolina that I would never have explored otherwise. I just don't make this drive up to this part of the state. I should probably acknowledge why I'm in a graveyard. The elephant in the room, because the person who we're doing a story on today is here waiting for me. We have to go find him. It's actually a pretty cool story. But anyway, I came up to this little town called New Bern, and I've heard about New Bern, but I would never agree to make the drive because it's too far from Wilmington. And it is just extraordinary. And so is the story of the individual who is just patiently back there, spot 13, waiting for me to show up, because some of us give the world the lessons of our lives while we are alive, and some of us leave those lessons after we're dead. But it's a good story one way or another, and I'm going to show you some really beautiful houses in a tiny coastal North Carolina town that I don't think many people stop at, even the locals. Let's go. New Bern, North Carolina is the second oldest city in the state and has two major sore spots. Don't talk about Raleigh, and don't you dare order a Coke here. As the self-anointed brand spokesperson for Coke Zero in New Bern, I am a traitor on enemy soil, but my intentions are noble. Wealthy and historic homes snug up against the water, New Bern was the capital of North Carolina and an easy target for British ships during the Revolutionary War. Everyone agreed the capital had to be moved, and no one could agree on where. But alcohol solves everything. Legend has it that a tavern owner near Raleigh made such a mean cherry cocktail that it was decided the new Capitol building had to be within 10 miles of his bar. The truer story is not nearly as entertaining, but let's not let a few facts get in the way of a good tale. It wouldn't be the only time a libation put New Bern on the map. Caleb Bradham was born a Carolina country boy with a heart for medicine. After graduating from pharmacy school, he bought a small corner pharmacy in New Bern. Bradham's pharmacy opened its doors to business and opened the first chapter in PEPSI's history. It's 1898. Pull up your stool to Bradham's soda fountain bar, where his friends are all gathered around. With a license to compound medicinal elixirs, coming up with new soda flavors was a favorite pastime of the local pharmacist. One day, he put just the right combinations of syrups together to get people to say, wow. He called it Brad's Drink, and it became the drink sold in his drugstore. 5 years later, he renamed the beverage Pepsi Cola, a nod to the pepsin and cola nut ingredients that allegedly aided in digestion. Gaining popularity, Bradham registered the trademark, rented a warehouse, and started bottling. Soon those little 6-ounce glass bottles were franchised in over 24 states. Bradham was building an empire, but empires are tricky things, prone to failing. He was a superb salesman, about to do battle with World War I. Anticipating growth, Bradham purchased a stockpile of sugar, but the war sent prices plummeting quickly thereafter. His entire distribution system was counting on a form of bottling technology completely incapable of keeping up. It was often said that Bradham had a modern business in the wrong decade, a third of a century ahead of his. Ultimately, he sold his brainchild for $35,000 and went back to operating his drugstore. Over the years, Pepsi has been bought, sold, restructured, merged, and reconfigured more times than anyone cares to hear about. The Pepsi brand went on to achieve global prosperity. Though it's still the second most popular cola around the world, it is the most popular in New Bern. Today, Pepsi diehards can still pay homage at the birthplace of this bubbly beverage at Bradham's Original Drugstore in downtown New Bern. The story of Brad's drink is usually told as a sad tale of big dreams born and lost. That's because today we measure the value of someone's story in millions and billions, or in followers and subscribers. So it's rarely mentioned that after losing Pepsi, Bradham became heavily involved in the Shriners. He was a bank officer and then the honorary president of a state-owned railroad. He was also the founder of the North Carolina Naval Militia that later became the Naval Reserve, retiring with the rank of Rear Admiral. He awarded prizes to the highest achieving pharmacy students at the University of North Carolina every year up until just before his death. So yes, Bradham is the guy who invented Pepsi and then lost a fortune. But in New Bern, he's an icon of small-town America's small business owners, who often give their all and don't get much. He's buried at the far back of Cedar Grove Cemetery underneath a simple stone acknowledging his claim to fame. Most people quit when they are just steps away from success. In Bradham's case, who can know? Did he give up too soon? What we do know is that ultimately, we all get a simple stone with a few lines to sum it all up, and there is no excuse, no matter how many or how few of those lines you get, to not make each of them remarkable. I don't mean remarkable like world power, Olympian, household name. I mean worth making a remark about. Bradham didn't die CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, but his pursuit was remarkable. It's etched into every glass bottle in the stores downtown. It's what brings countless people to this corner pharmacy each year. It's behind his soda fountain counter. I bet you can't name me one current executive at PepsiCo, but after meeting Caleb Bradham today, even more than 100 years later, I bet you'll never forget the story of the country boy who could cure your cold and create an icon inside of a can. And that makes for a remarkable life.